We're going to talk about why we launched Bedrock. I kept seeing the same problem, massively underperforming real estate. Another problem, which was the real estate that I saw investors buying out of sight unseen, was all different flavors of garbage. I had a client personally who bought this house in Detroit. And on paper, it looked amazing. It was $53,000. I'm going to rent it for $100. No, that looks amazing. It looks like you're about to get inducted into the Real Estate Hall of Fame. We look to buy up to 150 GRM. This is such a good deal. Anyone who can spend 53 grand on real estate and make $900 in rent, my hat goes to, because we don't see deals like that. The reason this deal existed is because it was a terrible deal. It was in Detroit. He bought it, I think, in 2014. Like the market had turned, but in Detroit, it really hadn't recovered as much. And it was a truly atrocious deal. I asked him if he already closed on it. He said yes. I said, I hope it's great. It was not great. At the end of the day, he kept having to evict tenants because it's just the wrong house in the wrong market. Like, honestly, guys, there's a reason why you don't buy sushi for 10 cents a pound. There is such a thing as too cheap. And $53,000 cash for a house in Detroit was too cheap. It was in the wrong market. He couldn't keep a tenant. No one wanted to live in that area, so the tenants were really rough. And at the end of the day, he had to replace the tenant 3 times in a year. Now, if you've been to one of our live events, you've heard this story. This was a big reason we started Bedrock. My client, unsuspecting guy, worked with a big turnkey house. It's the biggest there is, maybe. And they were like, hey, this is a great deal. On paper, it looked like a great deal. It ended up as a grenade in his portfolio. He had to keep flying out to Detroit to deal with this property. He replaced the tenant 3 times in a year. He ended up paying about $4,200 in repairs on top of lost rent the whole time. The repairs after an eviction, after lost rent, replaced the tenant 3 different times. And then luckily for him, the house burned down. So the insurance company paid him $88,000. I talked to him when this barely happened. He was like, wow, the house burned down. I said, are you going to buy another one? The company who sold you this one. And he was like, absolutely not. There's no way. The only redeeming quality in this whole experience, because it had turned into a fiasco, a multi-year cash-sucking fiasco. The only redeeming quality is I've become a Pistons fan. I said, what do you mean you've become a Pistons fan? I kept having to fly out to Detroit. I kept having to stay a couple nights, work with the property manager, dejunk the house again. I kept having to go to Detroit, and I was there alone. My wife was in California. At the end of the day, I'd catch a Pistons game. I realized as we were giving financial advice, that's what we don't want. We don't want a grenade in your portfolio that the only redeeming quality is you become a Pistons fan. All right. So what we realized had to change in the space, and the reason we launched Bedrock 6 years ago to avoid that, people needed more than anything is whoever is helping you buy a piece of rental real estate in a state where you don't live, they've got to have some sort of vested interest in its success, not a vested interest in getting paid to help you buy it. When you say it's not working, they say that's real estate. The second thing we realized had to happen was you had to have effective business management on a day-by-day. Someone for the property managers keep the books, someone to deal with all the minutia. And we're going to get into that a little bit later and reintroduce all the services Bedrock offers. But those 2 things had to change. The person who is picking has to have some skin in the game that it actually works. And then you have to have day-to-day business management to take care of just all the headaches. The bottom line is this. I love single-family residential, and we're posting incredible return for 5 years. Cash on cash, we're seeing enormous return, 12 to 45. On leveraged properties, it's been an amazing set of returns. The downside is it's a bit of a headache. Single-family residential can be a headache. We decided a long time ago, we can't solve the headache, but we can sell aspirin. You're dealing with real people in real situations regarding their housing. There's a bunch of laws. Every state is different. We've got to have some way to have aspirin in the equation. And so that's what we do. We provide all of the day-to-day operations. We help you buy it. We help you deal with it. We help sell it. And so let's go to Anthony, and he'll walk us through what the purchasing process looks like.
As we look at Bedrock, one thing to keep in mind, you do not need to hire one or the other or both. About 25% of our clients hire acquisitions to find a good property. But about 75% of our clients see the value in the property administration half of our company, where they say, hey, I don't want to take on the day-to-day aspects. I want all the benefits. As we go through these companies, you can choose how to interact with Bedrock. On acquisitions, I want to walk you through what the process looks like. Now, maybe you live in a market we've chosen, but most likely you're outside of one of these key areas. We typically buy real estate where we live. And if that's in Utah, or that's in Northern California, or that's in Kansas, right? We're buying where we typically know because that's a comfort. Because this is a physical asset, I can drive by and check on it. But that might not be the best opportunity. So we're going to walk you through and introduce you where we're buying today. And inside of those geographical areas, the sub-markets we're focusing on, because deals have to make sense. Instead of having a very small scope of view, we're looking nationwide to find the best opportunities. Once we find and isolate that market, we're then going to build the team and the infrastructure needed to facilitate it. We go with that team, find the houses, vet the properties, work with property managers. We then walk you through the purchase process, the lending process, and then we get to closing. Now, analyzing our markets for a second. Look at population trends. Where are people moving out of and moving to? As population goes up, we know that jobs are being created. We know that incomes are usually pretty good. Taxes tend to be lower. The largest section of the country is in the southern U.S., the southern Midwest to southeast. People are wanting to go to different locations. And because of the pandemic, working remotely has been a better option for many of you. So you don't have to be living in the same city where your job is located. We have a lot of remote options. People are moving to different parts of the country. We're looking at housing prices. What are the rent prices? What are the ages of those homes? What is the average cost of repair in that area? Who are the builders that build a quality home and who are the builders that don't build a quality home? What are the crime rates in those areas? We take the nationwide map, scale it down to a market, and inside of that, we're going to have pockets inside of that sub-market that we focus on for our product. Now, once we've gone through and analyzed these areas, we need to build a team. It really starts with the real estate agent. The agent is the one that's going to find the houses for you. We always work with a licensed contracted agent in each of these markets, but because they live there, they have a local knowledge. Now, we have a lot of great tools on the internet. We can pull up a neighborhood and look at it and say, wow, this house looks great. The neighborhood looks great. But that can be deceiving. As you look at certain areas, having that local knowledge of this is where you want to be, this is where you don't want to be. Working with our property managers help our agents understand where is the demand for rentals. Where are the people moving to and moving out of apartments, moving out of multi-unit housing into single-family homes. We want to make sure that our tenant pool is as large as possible. So our property managers working with our agents to find those sub-markets and areas. The property managers also could be the one that's finding the tenant and managing the tenant and collecting rents, coordinating repairs, sending reports. All the things that a normal property manager does, we have them doing in our system. Now, sometimes with the property manager, sometimes outside the property manager, we need a rehab team. Contractors, subcontractors, handy people to replace things and fix up the house and make sure that it's rent ready, not at the initial time of purchase, but also the ongoing maintenance of that property. We want to make sure that if something happens, we know who to call. Now, we're also trying to do this budget friendly. If I have an electrical panel that needs to be replaced on a house, you absolutely can guarantee we're using a qualified electrician for that. But the hourly rate for an electrician is much higher than a handy person that can come in there because I just need to replace 3 GFI outlets, right? So we make sure that we're also having the work done by the people appropriate for the level of job so that we're not overpaying. We work with the right lenders. Our number one lender is licensed in all 50 states. They help our clients execute quality loans. Part of the reason we like this bank is not every bank is skilled in the art of investment purchases, understanding more difficult tax return. Many of you are business owners and you have write-offs and deductions. We want our lenders giving you the right amount of income to help qualify for your purchases. Depending on what part of the country, we need to have title companies or attorneys that help us with the closing process. If we're using IRA funds, we need the right custodians on board to help us facilitate the transfer of funds to stay compliant with your IRA rules and regulations. We have inspectors and appraisers. We have the right builders. And this is where we see one of our best opportunities for purchasing is with new construction and qualified builders. Now, if you look at our box of what we're looking for, when we look at the type of houses that we're targeting, entry middle class neighborhoods, I like to say these are high B type neighborhoods. Real estate prices can escalate, but rents will plateau. And so I might be in a neighborhood that the price is going up, but my rents are still maintaining at a certain level. We want to make sure that we're capitalizing on appreciation increases and rental rate increases. So as we look at the quality of neighborhood, that's why we look at these entry middle class type neighborhoods. We get to see the appreciation growth and we get to see rental rate growth as well. The typical size of our houses is 1,200 to 2,000 square feet, all above ground. And most of our houses are 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You might find the occasional 4-bedroom, 2-bath. We don't want a large house like like a 2,500 square foot home, because if we have to replace flooring or repaint, the larger the house gets, the more the costs are in getting that home rent ready. And so there's strategy involved in keeping with a little bit smaller house that maximizes square footage for bedrooms and bathrooms. The first thing we do is create a plan with you. That plan is to look at the assets that you have, look at how it can be deployed to real estate. One of the things I really love about real estate investing is that there's a lot of freedom about the assets that you have and how it can transition into real estate purchases. We can use home equity, stocks, IRAs, insurance, and a cash value insurance product. There's all sorts of different ways of how those funds can transition to real estate. So we need to look at what you have, where it's at, what your options look like, and solidify a plan. My job on the acquisition side is to work with our team members in the markets to find the right properties, to vet them, and then to send them to you. Our team might look at 10 houses, disqualify 9, and send you one quality vetted property. We're going to make offers. We're going to go under contract. We're going to go through the purchasing process, which takes about 30 days. And then once we close on it, we then start blending the acquisition side with the property administration side, where we start working to get that first tenant in place. And then from there, we repeat the process and it makes sense for you. As you have a good experience, as you have more confidence and want to invest more, or we're selling an asset to transition into a couple more houses, we repeat that process as many times as we need to. Now, after closing, there are a couple things I want just to hit on briefly. There is a property manager handoff. In each market, we'd have a local on-the-ground property manager. They're the ones that are going to physically be looking at your property. They're the ones that are going to be helping us finish any post-closing rehab items. Along the way, again, we're going to help with any type of entity formation, creation of bank accounts. We're going to help vet tenants on your behalf to find the right tenant to put into the home. We're going to get those leases signed, deposits collected. And again, we're going to repeat that process as often as needed. We have tenants that stay in houses 5-6 years. We have tenants that leave after 8 months or a year or 2 years. And so we're going to repeat this process of keeping your home occupied until you're ready to sell that asset. Now, do you look at working with Bedrock Property or Bedrock Acquisitions? Once we find the right areas, we're going to find the right agents and team members to work with. We're going to find houses for you. My team sends you a property. I can guarantee that it is a quality investment home. As we send you those options, we're going to hold your hand through that process and ultimately through closing.
As I've watched back and edited that video, I've realized that's really the specialty at Bedrock. We have become really good at being kind of the McDonald's of investment real estate. We only buy the same thing. If you saw that slide way back, it put exactly what we buy, like 4,000 times. It's always 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's always 1980s or newer. It's always 1,200 to 2,400 square feet. We have found over the years, like, hey, this is our box. Every single time we have bought something outside of our box. Hey, let's buy something bigger. Let's buy something smaller. Let's buy a duplex. Let's buy a fourplex. Every time we've gone outside of our box, we have ended up bloody for a different reason. And so really at Bedrock, we just specialize in let's buy the same thing over and over and over. But when you really take the box down to what you know how to do, we've made spectacular money in real estate. We love helping clients do that. This was just an introduction of what we do, how we do it, why we do it. We're going to try to do better going forward, talking about specific properties, what we're seeing in the market, how the market's changing. If you enjoy the content, follow along. If you want to watch something else that kind of is in this vein of how to find the right property, what works well, I would watch Never Buy Rentals Here. I posted that about 9 months ago, but what I did is I actually shared my computer screen and jumped through Zillow and took multiple different markets and said, here's what a good market looks like, here's what a bad market looks like, here's what a good house looks like, here's what a bad house looks like. And I tried to boil it all down to 1 or 2 numbers that are easy to get to say, is this even a deal worth doing or not? If you want to see that, Never Buy Rentals Here, I will post it right here. You have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.